The warning unheeded, the crystalline spires of Nexus Prime stretched toward the artificial stars that illuminated the massive space station. Inside the Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives from 47 different species had gathered for what would become known as the most consequential meeting in galactic history. The chamber itself was a marvel of engineering, with floating platforms that adjusted to each species' environmental needs, allowing beings who breathed methane to sit beside those who required intense radiation. Ambassador Kethfa of the Zolonian Commonwealth stepped forward onto the central dais. His people were among the oldest in the galaxy, having achieved spaceflight when most other species were still discovering fire. His translucent blue skin rippled with the bioluminescent patterns that indicated deep concern among his kind. For 3 centuries, he had served as a diplomat, mediator, and observer of galactic affairs. Today, he carried a warning that would shake the very foundations of their peaceful confederation. The chamber fell silent as Kethfa activated the holographic display. A small blue and green planet appeared, rotating slowly in the center of the vast room. Esteemed colleagues, his voice carried the weight of urgency despite his species' naturally calm demeanor. I present to you the 3rd planet of the Sol system. The inhabitants call it Earth, and they call themselves humans. A ripple of mild interest passed through the assembly. New species were discovered regularly, and most followed predictable patterns of development. High Commander Thrax of the Vortani, Hegemony, a towering figure whose exoskeleton gleamed like polished obsidian, leaned forward with obvious skepticism. His people had conquered 17 systems through superior military might and technological advancement. Another primitive world seeks admission to our confederation. He rumbled, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to commanding vast fleets. No, Commander, Kethfa replied, his bioluminescent patterns shifting to deeper blues. They do not seek admission. They do not even know we exist. But that is precisely why we must discuss them with the utmost seriousness. The holographic display shifted, showing images of human cities, sprawling metropolises that covered vast areas of the planet's surface. Then came images of their technology, their wars, their art, their achievements. The assembly watched with growing curiosity as scenes of human life played out before them. I have spent 50 years studying this species, Kethfa continued, and I have never encountered anything like them. They are not the strongest beings in the galaxy, nor the most intelligent individually. They lack natural armor, cannot survive in vacuum, and their lifespans are remarkably brief. By every conventional measure, they should be unremarkable. Trade Minister Yolthia of the Mercantile Guild interrupted with a melodic chime that served as her species equivalent of clearing. Their throat, her chitinous form, was adorned with the symbols of her vast commercial empire. Ambassador, with respect, why should we concern ourselves with another developing species? The standard protocols have served us well for millennia. We make contact, assess their potential for trade and integration, and proceed accordingly. Because, Kethfa said, his patterns now pulsing with urgent reds and oranges, they are not developing along any standard pattern. Observe. The display changed to show human technological progression over the past century. In the span of a single human generation, they progressed from mechanical flight to landing on their moon. In another generation, they had permanent orbital installations. They have achieved in decades what most species accomplish over millennia. High Commander Thrax's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Rapid advancement is not uncommon among young species. They often exhaust their resources, and collapse back into primitive. My own people experienced several such cycles before achieving true stability. This is different, Kethver insisted. Watch how they respond to challenges. The display now showed human responses to natural disasters, global conflicts, and technological setbacks. They do not simply adapt to their environment. They reshape it. They do not accept limitations. They overcome them. When faced with obstacles, they do not find ways around them. They find ways through them. Dr. Velter, of the Scientific Collective, a being composed of what appeared to be living crystal formations, emanated a thoughtful harmonic frequency. The behavioral patterns are indeed unusual. Their individual intelligence quotients are not exceptional, but their collective problem-solving abilities exceed theoretical maximums. How do you explain this paradox? Kethver's patterns shifted to somber purples. They possess something we have never encountered in any other species. They call it spite. When told something is impossible, they do not accept it. When faced with overwhelming odds, they do not surrender. When confronted with superior force, they do not submit. They find a way to fight back, no matter the cost. The chamber erupted in various forms of skeptical communication. Thrax's exoskeleton plates shifted with what his people expressed as dismissive laughter. Ambassador, you speak of children's tantrums. Mature species learn to accept reality and work within its constraints. Do they? Kethver challenged. Let me show you what I mean. The display shifted to show human military history. They have been fighting continuous wars for their entire recorded history, not for territory or resources, but for ideas. They will die for abstract concepts like freedom or justice or dignity. They cannot be bought, cannot be threatened, cannot be reasoned with when they believe their core principles are at stake. Representative Quinder of the peaceful synthesis, a graceful being whose energy-based form flickered with calming pastels, projected harmonious concern. Surely diplomacy and trade can civilize such aggressive tendencies. We have successfully integrated many warrior species. You misunderstand, Kethver said, his patterns now cycling through rapid sequences of warning colors. They are not merely aggressive, they are adaptive. Show them a weapon, and they will build a better one. Show them a defense, and they will find a way to overcome it. Most importantly, unite them against a common threat, and they become something unprecedented in galactic history. Yolthea's commercial instincts took over. If they are so adaptable, they would make excellent trading partners. Young species often trade raw materials for advanced technology. The profit margins could be substantial. That is exactly what we must not do, Kethver warned. I have modeled the scenarios. Give them access to galactic technology, and they will not simply use it. They will improve it. They will weaponize it. They will find applications we never imagined. Within a single generation, they could pose a threat to our entire confederation. High Commander Thrax rose to his full, imposing height. Ambassador, I have conquered worlds. I have faced the finest warriors in the galaxy. I have seen species that breathe plasma and others that exist in dimensions we cannot perceive. I refuse to be intimidated by a species that cannot even survive in their own planet's oceans without artificial assistance. Then you have learned nothing from history, Kethver said sadly. The Krillian Empire thought the same when they first encountered the Veilwalkers. The hegemony of steel believed their superiority was absolute when they met the Quantum Collective. In each case, established powers underestimated emerging threats. The difference is that those species were conventionally powerful. Humans are not. The debate continued for hours. Some species supported Kethva's call for careful observation and limited contact. Others saw opportunity in a new trading partner. Still others, led by Thrax, viewed the humans as a minor curiosity at best. The vote, when it finally came, was decisive. The Confederation would proceed with standard first contact protocols. As the assembly dispersed, Kethva remained on the dais, his patterns dim with foreboding. Dr. Velta approached, her crystalline form resonating with sympathetic frequencies. "You truly believe they pose such a threat?" "I believe," Kethva said quietly, "that we have just made the greatest mistake in galactic history. We have chosen to ignore the one species that should never be underestimated." 3 days later, the Vortani First Fleet departed Nexus Prime, bound for the Sol System. High Commander Thrax commanded the expedition personally, leading 15 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. Their mission was simple: establish contact with the humans, assess their potential for integration, and demonstrate the superiority of galactic civilization. The journey to Earth took 6 weeks. During that time, the humans had no idea that their first contact with alien intelligence was approaching. Dr. Elena Buscus, a xenobiologist working for the International Space Coalition, was monitoring deep space signals from the Lunar Observatory when she detected something unusual. "Commander Chen," she called across the observation deck, "I'm picking up artificial signals from the outer system. Multiple sources, moving in formation." Captain Marcus Chen, a veteran of the Mars colonies and current head of the Earth Defense Initiative, studied the readings with growing concern. "How many contacts?" 15 distinct signatures. "They're large, Commander. Much larger than anything we've ever built." Chen felt a chill run down his spine. For decades, scientists had debated the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence. Now, it seemed, the debate was over. "Dr. Vasquez, initiate Protocol 7. Alert all Earth governments and off-world installations. We're about to make history." As the alien fleet approached Earth, both sides prepared for an encounter that would reshape the galaxy. The aliens came with the confidence of a mature civilization meeting a primitive species. The humans prepared with the wariness of a species that had learned never to trust strangers bearing gifts. Neither side understood what they were about to unleash. The Reckoning. The first transmission from the Vortani fleet was everything Ambassador Kethva had warned against. High Commander Thrax's image appeared on screens across Earth, his imposing form radiating the casual arrogance of a superior addressing an inferior. The translation algorithms worked flawlessly, ensuring that his words reached every human in their own language. "Primitive inhabitants of the third planet," Thrax began, his mandibles clicking with what his species considered benevolent condescension. "I am High Commander Thrax of the Vortani hegemony, representing the Intergalactic Confederation. Your species has been selected for integration into our greater civilization. You will cease all military activities, surrender your weapons, and prepare for administrative transition. Compliance will be rewarded with access to advanced technology and protection under our laws." The transmission continued for several minutes, outlining the terms of human surrender and the benefits of joining galactic society. It was a standard first contact protocol, refined over centuries of successful expansions. What Thrax could not have anticipated was the human response. Dr. Elena Buscus, now serving as Earth's chief xenobiologist, watched the transmission with a mixture of fascination and growing anger. Captain Marcus Chen, promoted to Admiral after the formation of the Unified Earth Defense Force, stood beside her in the command center buried beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around them, representatives from every nation on Earth worked alongside scientists, military officers, and engineers. "Admiral," said Dr. Vasquez, her voice tight with controlled fury, "they're not asking for surrender, they're demanding it." "Admiral." Rodriguez, who had been quietly studying the tactical displays, spoke up. "They brought 15 warships to our system and are surprised we're not rolling over." Sarah Rodriguez had earned her rank through decisive action during the Mars Rebellion, and her instincts were screaming danger. Chen activated the response transmitter. His reply was broadcast not just to the alien fleet, but to every human on Earth and in the colonies. "High Commander Thrax, this is Admiral Marcus Chen of the Unified Earth Defense Force. We acknowledge your presence in our system. However, we must decline your generous offer of surrender. Humanity has never bowed to conquerors, and we will not start now." The response that came back was swift and predictable. Thrax's image reappeared, his posture now radiating threat. "Your resistance is futile. Our weapons can destroy your entire planet. You have one solar rotation to reconsider." What happened next would have astounded Kethba and validated every one of his warnings. Within 6 hours of the threat, something unprecedented occurred in human history. Every government on Earth, including those that had been at war with each other just days before, formed a unified command structure. Every scientist, engineer, and military officer focused their efforts on a single goal: defending humanity against an alien threat. Tommy Kim, a 28-year-old engineer from Seoul who had been working on fusion propulsion systems, found himself leading a team of the brightest minds from every nation. His laboratory had become a nexus of innovation, where theoretical physicists worked alongside weapons designers and computer programmers collaborated with xenobiologists. "The aliens made a mistake," Tommy explained to his multinational team. "They showed us their technology when they destroyed our monitoring satellites. Now we know how their energy weapons work." Dr. James Wright, a materials scientist from Cambridge, had been analyzing the energy signatures from the alien demonstration. "Their weapons operate on quantum resonance frequencies. If we can generate inverse resonance patterns, we might be able to disrupt their effectiveness." "Better than that," said Maria Santos, a quantum physicist from São Paulo. "We can use their own energy against them. I've been studying the recordings, and their shields work by redirecting incoming energy. But every redirection system has a saturation point." The human response was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. While the Vortani fleet waited for Earth's surrender, humans were analyzing, adapting, and innovating at a pace that defied conventional understanding. The Internet, originally designed for military communications, now carried scientific data at unprecedented speeds. Researchers in Tokyo shared findings with colleagues in London who built upon work being done in Cairo, which informed experiments in New York. Dr. Elena Vasquez coordinated the biological analysis of the aliens. "They're carbon-based like us, but their exoskeletons suggest they evolved in a high-gravity environment. That means they're physically stronger, but also more vulnerable to certain types of stress." "Define certain types of stress," requested Colonel Martinez, the military liaison to the science teams. "Rapid acceleration, sonic disruption, and electromagnetic interference. Their nervous systems are distributed throughout their exoskeletons, which makes them more resilient to damage but also more susceptible to system-wide disruption." Meanwhile, Admiral Rodriguez was coordinating the military response. The human fleet consisted of research vessels, cargo ships, and the few military craft that had been built for space operations. By conventional standards, they were hopelessly outmatched. But humans had never been constrained by conventional thinking. We can't match their firepower, Rodriguez admitted to her staff, but we don't need to. We need to make them pay a price they're not willing to accept. The key insight came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a game theorist from Tokyo, had been studying the alien communications patterns. They're not expecting resistance, she reported. Their language patterns suggest they've done this hundreds of times before. They're following a script. What happens when someone breaks the script? Asked Admiral Chen. They improvise. And improvisation requires adaptation. From what we've learned about their culture, they're not particularly good at adapting to unexpected situations. When the Vortani fleet moved to attack Earth, they expected to face a disorganized resistance that would collapse quickly. Instead, they encountered something that no military computer could have predicted. The humans had turned every available resource into a weapon. Cargo ships carried nuclear devices. Research vessels had been fitted with improvised kinetic weapons. Even civilian spacecraft had been modified to carry experimental energy disruptors. But the real shock came when the battle began. The humans didn't try to win in conventional terms. They tried to make the aliens pay a price for every meter of space. When the Vortani destroyed a human ship, 3 more would ram the alien vessel. When the aliens adapted their tactics, the humans changed theirs faster. High Commander Thrax watched in growing horror as his superior fleet was being systematically dismantled by inferior technology wielded by beings who refused to accept defeat. How were they coordinating their attacks? He demanded. Our intelligence indicated they were divided into competing factions. Sir, reported his tactical officer, they appear to be sharing information in real time across their entire fleet. Every ship knows the status of every other ship. When we destroy one, the others immediately adapt their tactics based on what they learned from the destruction. The turning point came when Tommy Kim's team completed their analysis of captured alien technology. In the 36 hours since the battle began, they had reverse-engineered alien shield generators, adapted their energy weapons, and discovered the frequencies that disrupted Vortani nervous systems. Admiral Tommy reported to Rodriguez, "We're ready to deploy the sonic disruptors. They'll be vulnerable for approximately 4 minutes after exposure." 4 minutes is enough, Rodriguez replied. All ships initiate Protocol Omega. What followed was the most devastating for minutes in Vortani military history. Every human ship simultaneously broadcast the disruption frequency, causing chaos in the alien fleet. Before the Vortani could recover, human ships armed with reverse-engineered alien weapons struck with precision that shocked even the humans themselves. 8 of the 15 Vortani ships were destroyed. The remaining 7 retreated to a safe distance, their commanders stunned by the impossible defeat. High Commander Thrax, his exoskeleton cracked from the stress of the sonic attack, struggled to understand what had happened. "They learned our technology and used it against us," he whispered. "In less than 2 days, they advanced from primitives to equals. How is this possible?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Ambassador Kethver's voice reached the retreating fleet through quantum communications. "Because I tried to warn you, humans are not like other species. They do not accept limitations. They do not acknowledge superiority. They adapt, they overcome, and they never surrender." The news of the defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had dismissed Kethver's warnings now demanded emergency sessions. The Mercantile Guild, seeing their dreams of easy profit destroyed, began calculating the cost of a prolonged conflict. The scientific collective started analyzing the implications of a species that could reverse engineer their technology in hours rather than years. But the humans were far from finished. Dr. Elena Buskus, now leading the Alien Technology Integration Project, made a discovery that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. The aliens didn't just give us their technology, she explained to the assembled Earth leaders. They gave us access to their entire network. Every ship, every station, every colony is connected through quantum communication relays. And now, so are we. Admiral Rodriguez smiled grimly. Are you telling me we can access their entire confederation? More than that, Alina replied. We can learn from them. Every species in their confederation has unique technologies, unique approaches to problems we haven't even thought of yet. They invited us to join their civilization. We're going to take them up on that offer, but not as subjects, as equals. The transformation of human civilization over the following months was breathtaking. Technologies that should have taken centuries to develop were mastered in weeks. Humans established colonies throughout the solar system, then began reaching toward nearby star systems. But, more importantly, they began making contact with other species in the Confederation, not as conquerors, but as partners. The first species to reach out were the Zil. Ambassador Kethber himself led the delegation. His bioluminescent patterns showing deep respect and no small amount of relief. We offer formal alliance, he said to the assembled human leaders. Your species has demonstrated qualities we have never seen before. We believe you can help us solve problems we thought were impossible. Within a year, 17 species had broken away from the Confederation to form the Terran Alliance. They brought with them technologies, knowledge, and perspectives that accelerated human advancement even further. The old Confederation, built on hierarchical domination and technological superiority, found itself challenged by a new model based on cooperation and mutual respect. High Commander Thrax, now stripped of his command and serving as a tactical advisor to the remaining Confederation forces, sat in his quarters reading reports of human expansion. They had not been content to simply defend their world. They had turned their entire species into explorers, scientists, and diplomats. Every human colony became a center of innovation. Every human contact with an alien species resulted in new breakthroughs. We should have listened to the ambassador, Thrax admitted to his reflection. We saw a primitive species and thought we could easily dominate them. Instead, we awakened something that has changed the galaxy forever. The final irony was not lost on anyone. The Confederation's attempt to absorb humanity had resulted in humanity absorbing much of the Confederation. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had become the catalyst for the greatest transformation in galactic history. Ambassador Kethver, now serving as the Terran Alliance's chief diplomatic advisor, often reflected on the lessons learned. We spent millennia believing that advancement meant conquest, that civilization meant hierarchy, that wisdom meant accepting limitations. Humans taught us that true advancement comes from cooperation, that civilization means lifting others up, and that wisdom means never accepting that something is impossible. The galaxy would never be the same, and perhaps that was exactly what it needed.